Hi everyone, Tim the Planeman here, and welcome to Plane Time Anniversary Edition. Facebook just reminded me today, on the 26th of March 2022, that it was exactly 1 year ago today that I posted my first shots of my build of this Spitfire. This is the vintage model company Spitfire Nightfighter, rubber powered balsa and tissue model and here it is, that started my whole adventure into model aeronautics. And I thought I'd just give a quick recap of what all has gone on in this very interesting year of getting into model aeronautics. And I say model aeronautics because obviously I started with the Spitfire and pretty quickly moved on from there into this is a lot of fun. Why didn't I see about doing radio control? And so I went from the Spitfire pretty quickly to the Volantex Trainstar Mini, a little foam, completely ready to fly, transmitter included plane, and it was fun, but it wasn't enough. And also what I missed, just opening the box and having the plane ready to fly, was the build. So then I went back and found Dancing Wings Hobby, the small planes, and built the Sopwith pup, the Dancing Wings Hobby Sopwith pup. I actually built two of those. And then the Fokker Eindecker. And I built them around about the same time. I actually started the Sopwith pup first, then I started the Eindecker, and then I flew the Eindecker, and then I flew the Sopwith pup. Here's the Sopwith pup. Really flies like a bird. I mean, that was perhaps the hook. Wow, this is just more than just I can build it and it's pretty nice, but I can build it and I can fly it and it works, and wow, this is very cool. So then I got on Craigslist, I believe it was. I found some secondhand planes, including a couple of Bixlers and some other planes, and so I bought and I flew and I joined the Model Aircraft Association of Canada and learned to fly the Bixler properly and got my license. And this is the Bixler. I went on from there, and it wasn't a direct path, but then I got the ZOHD drift with the drift before ZOHD.
Kneel before ZOHD!
Drift before ZOHD. The ZOHD drift with the ZOHD co-pilot, and got a taste for something even more than that. And I've always been a bit of a geek. I've always been into technology and new things, really interested in it, and when I got the ZOHD drift and I plugged it in and threw it in the air and it did an auto takeoff, awesome. I was like, what is going on here? And so I bought a PixRacer, and you can see my video 3 days of the PixRacer when I opened a box of a fully fledged flight controller and tried to figure out what the hell this was all about. And I figured it out, and then I put it into the Bixler and created the Bixinator. So the Bixler has already had two incarnations. The Bixler by itself, the Bixinator with the PixRacer flight controller. Then I went on to, I got a wonderful gift from one of the members of my club, Don, who gave me a couple of Pixhawks, and so I got a twin Otter from Facebook, picked it up secondhand, put a Pixhawk in it. I bought myself a Aeroscout. In the process of buying the Aeroscout, I got scammed, and I got these cheap planes. As you can see, you can watch the scam video. That what was when I ordered the Aeroscout, I didn't get an Aeroscout. It was too good to be true. So I bought a real Aeroscout from Great Hobbies, and as soon as I got the Aeroscout, I flew it a couple of times and then ripped out the receiver and put in the PixRacer that came out of the Bixler. The twin Otter, I put in a Pixhawk that I got from Don, which was wonderful and very interesting, but also led to its untimely demise when the Pixhawk took control after landing and decided that it needed to do a go around and flew into a fence. Here's the crash. But through all of that experience of having an awful lot of fun with ready to fly, almost ready to fly, second-hand planes already built, and putting in ArduPilot and ArduPlane flight controllers such as the Pixhawk and the PixRacer. Magic. Just absolutely ArduPilot, ArduPlane magic. I also kept on going with building balsa model planes. Now you can also see right up here, you can see the Sopwith Camel that is, weather permitting, going to be doing its maiden any day soon, and also pretty much ready to fly the gorgeous Dancing Wings Hobby Fokker DR1 Red Baron Triplane. And it really is. I just finished calibrating the controls, making sure everything's set up. This guy is, you know, it's pretty much on a, I'm going to wait for an absolutely perfect day to fly it, but it's ready to fly. And I had such a good time building this plane. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed building the Sopwith Camel. It was quite a challenge because the Sopwith Camel is the Guillow Sopwith Camel, as many of you may know, was originally designed as a rubber-powered plane, rubber-powered model, and or for control line flight and not for radio control. So I did an RC conversion, got a lot of good information from RC groups and some others online who built this plane over the years, some people who sent me directly information about some of the builds that they've done, and you know, it came out pretty nice. I mean, I'm really happy with it, honestly. Let's have a quick look. So this is the Sopwith Camel, basically ready to fly, and again, all it needs is absolutely perfect weather, and honestly, a little bit of confidence on my part. I'm not ready to fly that plane. I mean, that's the reality of what's holding me back. You know, as I've learned more about the hobby, I've learned some planes are easy to fly, some planes are okay for beginners or intermediate pilots, and a World War I warbird fighter plane that is, you know, edgy by design, and a radio control conversion of a plane that was never designed for radio control, definitely not something for a beginner. And I have been holding off because I haven't been confident, and I've been practicing and learning through learning with the Bixler and learning with the Trainstar and learning with the twin Otter and learning more with the Aeroscout. I'm getting close to being ready myself, as well as the weather being good enough. So when both of those things come together, should be fairly soon. That plane has been sitting there pretty much ready to fly right through the winter, and I'm almost ready to fly it. Similar thing applies with the Fokker. Honestly, the Fokker is designed as an RC plane, and although it's a, you know, it's a warbird, I think I feel more confident. It's definitely sturdier as well. The despite my adding reinforcements and some carbon fiber and that kind of thing to the plane, it is more fragile, and the Fokker is a more solid design, as evidenced by the weight. This Fokker, although its wingspan is pretty much the same as the wingspan of the Camel, is almost twice the weight. It comes in at around 800 grams. So I plan to fly this guy first and that guy next. So that's where I'm at. That's what I've done in radio controlled flying, in autonomous and automatic flying in the past, in 12 months, between the 26th of March 2021 and the 26th of March 2022. There's going to be more. But in my journey, I just want to mention that I've been inspired by others. There's a lot of interesting people who put out really good information, encouragement and inspiration generally on YouTube, also on Instagram and on Facebook. I want to mention a couple of people specifically: Cliff Harvey IC Planes Downwind Checklist, who builds pretty much exclusively small, similar to the many Spitfires, the balsa and tissue planes, and sometimes small radio RC conversions. So he inspires me with all of the effort and fine detail that he puts into his planes, and that's what I do when I build balsa, which I enjoy so much. I enjoy the build of a balsa model plane, where I'm putting all the pieces together myself and building something that will ultimately fly, but really is going to look pretty gorgeous as well. That is, I find it not just a challenge, it's intrinsically fun in itself to just do the build process, and it's incredibly soothing and relaxing to do it. And it's just awesome. There's Ground Control RC, who continually studies and most interestingly focuses on the technology behind planes, and not just about throwing a plane in the air, but understanding what's going on, upgrading brushed to brushless motors in a plane means understanding what's going on, and learned an awful lot from Ground Control RC. Joshua Bardwell, many of you may know from the drone area. I'm also specifically very interested in what he talks about around FPV. XJet. G'day Bruce, aka RC Model Reviews. Love watching the videos from the airport in New Zealand, and also the incredibly educational, informative information that he publishes on RC Model Reviews, like the stuff that he just recently did on radio, on air antennas, which is just can't be beat. It's really, really incredibly useful, valuable information, and I always look forward to seeing Bruce's videos. Also want to mention, it's a little confusing. Bruce, aka XJet, has RC Model Reviews, and there's also RC Video Reviews, which unfortunately is also excellent. Incredibly well prepared, well explained information about radio control related information. I want to mention Andrew Tridgell, and the ArduPilot group. I am absolutely fascinated with ArduPilot. I've been in IT for years, and the fact that I can bring my IT background to planes and contribute, well, understand first of all, and then potentially and actually contribute to the ArduPilot project. And I proudly want to say that I have already, in my first year and only 6 months, and I've actually contributed code to the ArduPilot project. 3 lines of code, but a commit It's accepted, and it's going to be in the next release of ArduPilot 4.2.0. I've also made a couple of improvements that have been accepted to improve the massive and very good ArduPilot Wiki documentation website, and so there's a couple of improvements in there. My theory is, I'm new to this, I'm learning. When I read the documentation and I find that something isn't clear, maybe needs to be explained more clearly or improved or updated because it's a little out of date, why not help? So I've made my best efforts to try to make a contribution and give back, and so my contributions are now part of the ArduPilot Wiki, and I'm pretty happy about that too. I think that's very cool, honestly, I really do. There's many others that I've taken inspiration from in my year of getting into IC model planes, into model aeronautics, and I'm sure there'll be more, but I think that they're the highlights. I was inspired recently by Cliff Harvey and his Da Vinci Flyer. Like, an amazing concept, taking Leonardo da Vinci's original designs for planes, for flying, for heavier than air aircraft, and making a radio control model plane based on that inspiration. Cliff Harvey has done something really awesome, and honestly it inspired me, and I basically said to Cliff in a chat message, Cliff, you've inspired me to do more, and his question was, more what? And the answer to that, and I had to think about that, more what? Do I want to focus on the building, the stuff that Cliff does, building, and that I really enjoy, building and flying balsa planes, basically balsa electric radio control planes? Do I want to focus on that, or do I want to focus on ArduPilot, autonomous flight, FPV, all the technology and geeky stuff? So the answer is embodied in this plane here. This Fokker DR1 is a balsa model plane built for radio control, with an FPV camera, an FPV radio transmitter, a GPS, and a flight controller. It's not a fully fledged ArduPilot flight controller. It's a Le Fay RC SNL Plus flight controller. It's a little simpler than ArduPilot. Doesn't have quite as many features, but it's definitely a step above your standard just a receiver. And the key is that it has the FPV capability built in, so I could technically fly this plane, and I won't fly it. The maiden will be just fly the plane and maybe record the video, but I could technically fly this plane with goggles on in FPV, and we shall see how that happens. I am fascinated to see if it survives long enough to try that, and what happens when I do try it, because I will. And this is what I'm going to do more of. I'm going to do more building and flying balsa radio control planes, and I'm going to do more learning and experimenting and understanding and contributing to automatic, autonomous, and FPV flying. And I'm going to do more because it's just an awful lot of fun. Oh, I should add the Petrinchich brothers. I'm definitely inspired by the Petrinchich brothers. Is this the greatest hobby in the world? Yeah, for me it is. Absolutely. I definitely click maybe a little bit more than I should and buy stuff, and I have a lot of fun, and I plan to have more fun. So, and I plan to put it on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. So follow me, Tim the Planeman. Subscribe to this video. It's nice to see 235 subscribers, I think, as of this recording, and I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for following, and hopefully you get something from this, and hopefully in the next year it will be worth your while. You'll see more interesting videos about building and flying RC model planes and radio control and autonomous flying FPV technology in RC planes. So happy anniversary to me, and Tim the Plane Man, over and out.